Now it is early 1865, and the nation has been at war for 4 years. General William Tecumseh Sherman, leading an army of 100,000 Union soldiers, has just marched through Georgia, burned Atlanta to the ground, and offered the strategic port city of Savannah to President Abraham Lincoln as a Christmas present. Imagine an army so large that it covers an expanse of 40 miles across as it travels north through the Carolinas, with each left and right wing simultaneously targeting different objectives as it moves. Those two wings only came together in 2 towns outside of Georgia, and then at one last decisive battle in North Carolina. The first objective was Columbia, South Carolina, which burned to the ground, and the second was right here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where now 60,000 Union soldiers prepared to destroy this arsenal. In a book titled War Days of Fayetteville, Mrs. Josephine Worth wrote of her experiences when General Sherman's army came through town. She wrote that their first encounter with his army was when an African-American man rode past her home with the utmost speed, his eyes looking as if they would pop out of his head with fright, and with every bound, he screamed, "The Yankees! The Yankees!" The town of Fayetteville had a population of 4,000 people, according to the 1860 census. Compared to today's population, we would need 3 million soldiers to march into town right now for us to feel the impact that 60,000 soldiers had on the locals in 1865. They camped on every lawn, foraged for food in every home, burned foundries, mills, the offices to the local newspapers, and the arsenal.
Where other people live, we can, even if they have to starve or move away.
Fayetteville was not the exception to total war that General Sherman himself would have hoped for, and that people today might have expected. Retreating Confederates burned the only bridge over the Cape Fear River for miles. And as his army settled in, General Sherman came face to face with the realities of a civil war right here at the arsenal. Among the locals was the widow of his first commanding officer from before the war, whose son was the current Confederate commander of the arsenal. He was also approached by a pre-war acquaintance by the name of Edward Monaghan. Edward had 2 sons serving on the Arsenal Guard and hoped that General Sherman would spare his home, which he did, but with chosen words.
There is room enough in this world, even for traitors.
Behind me you can see Edward's home that is still on the Arsenal site and a remnant of their story. Another long forgotten account of this epic human experience that occurred here at the Arsenal was General Sherman's decision to have liberated tens of thousands of people that straggled behind his army. They were the men, women, children, elderly, and recently freed slaves of the Carolinas that had nothing left and nowhere else to go but north after his army passed through. They were put on boats on the Cape Fear River and sent to Wilmington, North Carolina, with Fayetteville being their last stretch of war before ultimate freedom.
The Yankees came through Fayetteville wearing large blue coats with capes on them. Lots of them were mounted, and there were thousands of foot soldiers. They told us we were all free.
Over the years, its physical structure has endured through war, reconstruction, and uncertainty, since these ruins, among other Civil War relics of the South, have been associated with a lost cause and social injustice. Failing to recognize the significance of this site and others like it, however, means you will also fail to acknowledge the life of Dissy Burkett, Sarah and Charity Wright, Moses, and Prince. So be sure to visit the Arsenal here in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and help us in rediscovering their stories as we break down our own walls and establish a collective and enduring memory of what this site and the people from it mean to us today.